Who helps the person who helps everyone else? That question is not soft. That question is not emotional weakness. That question is operational reality. Because every day there are people in this room who are expected to be the calm in chaos, the problem solver, the protector, the one who shows up when everyone else is falling apart. Police officers, first responders, military, corrections, counselors, doctors, nurses, teachers, parents, leaders. Everybody calls you when things go bad. But the real question is, who do you call when you start going bad? And most of us do not have a good answer. Because somewhere along the line we were trained to believe that needing help means weakness, that being tired means you are soft, that admitting stress means you cannot handle the job. That is a lie. The truth is this: your body does not care how tough you think you are. Your nervous system does not care about your badge. It does not care about your rank. It does not care about your title. It does not care how many years you have on. It does not care how many people depend on you. If you do not sleep, if you do not recover, if you eat like garbage, if you live on caffeine, anger, alcohol, adrenaline, and pride, eventually the body sends the bill. And when the body sends the bill, you do not get to negotiate. You cannot out-tough biology. You cannot motivational speech your way out of a wrecked nervous system. You cannot keep pouring from an empty tank and then act surprised when the engine burns out. So when we talk about resilience, we are not talking about bubble baths and hashtags. We are talking about performance. We are talking about survival. We are talking about becoming harder to kill, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Because here is the standard. You do not get better by accident. You get better by design. You schedule recovery the same way you schedule training. You protect your sleep like it is part of the mission. You control your nutrition because your brain runs on chemistry, not excuses. You train your body because weakness spreads when it is tolerated. You build discipline because motivation is unreliable. There is a version of you that is sharper, calmer, stronger, more dangerous to your old excuses, and more useful to the people you serve. But that version does not show up because you wished for it. That version shows up when you stop negotiating with the habits that are destroying you. You can be functional and still be falling apart. You can be productive and still be unhealthy. You can be respected and still be miserable. You can save everyone else and still lose yourself. Not because you are broken, because you are valuable, because the mission still needs you, because your family still needs you. They need the trained version, the disciplined version, the regulated version, the version that can walk into chaos and not become chaos. So today we answer the question, who helps the person who helps everyone else? The answer starts here. We help each other. And then we build the systems, habits, discipline, and recovery that make sure the helper does not become the next emergency. Trained to respond, not to recover. That sentence right there explains why so many good people are walking around exhausted, angry, numb, overweight, underslept, overcaffeinated, disconnected from their families, and still telling everybody, I'm good. Because in this line of work, we are trained for the emergency. We are trained to respond to the call, trained to control the scene, trained to give commands, trained to use force when necessary, trained to write the report, trained to go to the next job. But nobody really trains you how to come home. Nobody trains you how to sit in silence after the adrenaline dump. Nobody trains you how to explain to your wife why you are distant. Nobody trains you how to stop scanning every room like something is about to happen. Nobody trains you how to sleep when your nervous system still thinks you are on duty. Nobody trains you how to recover after years of absorbing other people's worst days. And that is the problem. The job teaches you how to survive chaos, but not always how to leave chaos at the door. You spend years becoming useful in a crisis, but then you start losing the ability to be present in peace. That is not weakness. That is conditioning. Your body adapts to what you repeatedly expose it to. If you constantly expose your body to stress, conflict, danger, trauma, overtime, poor sleep, garbage food, alcohol, and no recovery, your body adapts to survival mode. And survival mode is not meant to be a lifestyle. It is meant to be temporary. But for a lot of officers, first responders, and helpers, survival mode becomes home. You become calm in emergencies, but irritated at home. You can talk a suicidal person off the ledge, but cannot talk to your own family without snapping. You can control a chaotic scene, but cannot control your own sleep, diet, anger, or thoughts. That is the cost of being trained only to respond. The body keeps the receipts. Every missed night of sleep, every skipped meal, every unresolved call, every dead kid, every overdose, every domestic, every fight, every emotion pushed down because there was no time to feel it. The body remembers. And if you do not schedule recovery, your body will schedule it for you. It might schedule it as high blood pressure. It might schedule it as anxiety. It might schedule it as depression. It might schedule it as rage. It might schedule it as divorce. It might schedule it as burnout. It might schedule it as the moment where you look in the mirror and do not recognize yourself anymore. We were trained to respond. Now we have to train to recover. Recovery is not weakness. Recovery is maintenance. You would never run a patrol car 100,000 miles without oil changes, brakes, tires, and service, then act shocked when it breaks down. But that is exactly what we do to ourselves. Toughness is going to sleep when your ego wants to stay up. Toughness is training when you do not feel like it. Toughness is eating like your brain and heart matter. Toughness is talking before you explode. Real strength is not pretending nothing affects you. Real strength is building a system so everything you carry does not destroy you. Do not just ask, "Can I handle the call?" Ask, "Can I recover from the call?" Because the goal is not just to make it to retirement bitter, broken, and detached. The goal is to stay sharp, stay healthy, stay dangerous to your excuses, stay present for your family, stay alive inside your own life. Vicarious trauma hits the brain and the heart. That is not a metaphor. That is biology. When you spend your life helping people through their worst moments, you are not just hearing stories. You are absorbing exposure. Every overdose, every suicide call, every child abuse case, every domestic violence scene, every dead body, every family screaming in the hallway, every inmate telling you what happened to them, every victim looking at you like you are the last person who might be able to help. You carry pieces of that. And over time, what you carry for other people starts changing your own stress system. Because your brain does not only respond to what happens to you, it responds to what you repeatedly witness, hear, manage, suppress, and survive. Your amygdala, that threat alarm, starts getting trained to stay on. It starts looking for danger everywhere. That is hypervigilance. You walk into a restaurant and you scan exits. You sit with your back to the wall. You hear a loud noise and your body reacts before your mind even understands what happened. You come home from work, but your nervous system is still on scene. Then the prefrontal cortex, the decision-making part of the brain, starts getting tired. That is the part of you that helps regulate impulses, think clearly, make good decisions, and slow down reactions. When stress keeps stacking, the alarm system gets louder, and the decision-making system gets weaker. That is when people start saying things like, "I do not know why I snapped. I do not know why I cannot sleep. I do not know why I feel numb. I do not know why I do not care anymore. I do not know why I feel angry all the time." I will tell you why. Because the system is overloaded. Not weak, overloaded. This is not weakness. It is cumulative exposure. There is a major difference. Weakness means lack of character. Cumulative exposure means your nervous system has been under load for too long without enough recovery. That is not a personality flaw. That is a stress injury. Hypervigilance, sleep disruption, emotional numbing, cardiovascular strain. That is the pattern. You cannot build a strong life on a dysregulated nervous system. A lot of people are high-functioning and falling apart. Productive but miserable. Reliable but exhausted. Strong in public but empty in private. The answer is not to become soft. The answer is to become disciplined. Discipline is sleeping like your brain matters. Discipline is eating like your heart matters. Discipline is training your body so stress has somewhere to go. Discipline is having enough self-respect to stop calling destruction coping. The brain runs on chemistry. The heart responds to pressure. The body adapts to what you repeatedly do. So if your routine is chaos, your nervous system becomes chaos. If your routine is discipline, your nervous system starts learning stability. Because the goal is not just to survive the exposure. The goal is to become the kind of person who can carry heavy things without becoming destroyed by them. Your brain wasn't designed for this. That sentence is not an excuse. It is not weakness. It is not victim language. It is the truth. Your brain was not designed to live in constant threat, constant pressure, constant exposure, constant alertness, and constant emotional suppression. The human brain was designed to respond to danger, survive the danger, and then return to safety. That is the key part. Return to safety. But in this work, a lot of people never return to safety. They leave the scene, but the scene does not leave them. They leave the jail, but the jail stays in their body. They leave the call, but the call stays in their nervous system. They go home, but their brain is still on shift. High stress, high stakes, unpredictable environments activate your survival system. That means your brain starts prioritizing threat detection over peace, reaction over reflection, control over connection, survival over softness, scanning over resting. And for a while, that helps you do the job. It helps you move fast. It helps you read danger. It helps you respond under pressure. But over time, if that system never turns off, it becomes your baseline. Now you are not just activated during the emergency, you are activated at home, activated in the car, activated in the grocery store, activated in bed at 2 in the morning, activated when your kid asks a normal question, activated when nothing is wrong, but your body is still preparing for war. Not because you are weak, but because you are human. Nothing is wrong with you. Your system adapted. The problem is not that your brain failed. The problem is that your brain did exactly what it was trained to do for too long. It is not a character flaw. It is human neurobiology. But here is where I am going to push you. Just because it is not your fault does not mean it is not your responsibility. Your nervous system may have been shaped by the job. Your anger may have been trained by threat. Your numbness may have been built by survival. But now that you know, you are responsible for what you do next. Because awareness without action is just another excuse. The goal is not to sit here and say, this job messed me up. The goal is to say, now I understand the system, and now I am going to train the system. That is the difference between victimhood and ownership. Chronic stress leads to emotional dysregulation. That means you are not responding anymore. You are reacting. Somebody says one thing wrong, and your body goes from 0 to 100. Your kid makes noise, and you snap. Your spouse asks a question, and you hear criticism. Chronic stress leads to mental and physical exhaustion. Waking up tired, staying tired, borrowing from tomorrow. Chronic stress leads to hypervigilance and anxiety. The alarm system stuck on, always waiting for the next problem. Chronic stress leads to disconnection from self and others. You stop noticing what you feel. You stop laughing the same. You stop being present. People ask, "Are you okay?" And you say, "Yeah, I'm good." Because you do not even know how to answer honestly anymore. We do not use biology as an excuse to stay broken. We use biology as the instruction manual. If the brain can be trained into survival mode, then the brain can be trained toward regulation. If your habits helped create the problem, your habits can become part of the solution. Sleep becomes tactical. Nutrition becomes tactical. Breathing becomes tactical. Exercise becomes tactical. Recovery becomes tactical. Brotherhood becomes tactical. Purpose becomes tactical. Because once you understand this is not a character flaw, you stop hating yourself. And once you accept it is still your responsibility, you stop making excuses. That is where real resilience begins. You either schedule recovery or your body schedules it for you. That is one of the most important lines in this entire presentation, because your body is always keeping score. You may ignore the warning signs. You may push through the fatigue. You may tell yourself, "I'm fine." You may drink another coffee. You may take another overtime shift. You may stay up late again. You may skip the gym again. You may eat garbage again. You may keep saying, "I'll deal with it later." But your body is listening. And eventually, later becomes now. When you do not take command, your body starts making decisions for you. Fatigue shows up. Fatigue is not just being tired. Fatigue is your body saying, "I am out of resources." Irritability shows up. Irritability is not just a bad attitude. Sometimes it is your nervous system saying, "I have no buffer left." Shutdown shows up. Shutdown is not laziness. Sometimes it is the body saying, "I cannot keep running at this speed." Burnout shows up. Burnout is not weakness. Burnout is what happens when the mission takes everything and recovery gives nothing back. A lot of people in this work are not living. They are just managing symptoms, managing exhaustion with caffeine, managing anxiety with control, managing pain with anger, managing loneliness with isolation, managing stress with alcohol, managing emptiness with distraction, managing burnout with more work. That is not recovery. That is survival with better branding. And survival mode is not meant to be permanent. Sometimes the body schedules recovery through panic attacks, sometimes through high blood pressure, sometimes through insomnia, sometimes through depression, sometimes through rage, sometimes through divorce papers, sometimes through a doctor looking at you and saying, "You need to change now." That is why recovery is not optional. It is command maintenance. Recovery is maintenance of the weapon system. And in this case, the weapon system is you, your brain, your heart, your body, your nervous system, your marriage, your family, your purpose, your ability to stay in the fight without losing yourself. You would never take a patrol car, run it into the ground, ignore every warning light, skip every oil change, burn the brakes out, and then blame the car when it breaks down. But that is exactly what a lot of people do to themselves. The check engine light has been on for years. Bad sleep, weight gain, anger, no patience, no motivation, no joy, no peace. And still people say, "I'm good." No, you are not good. You are adapted. Recovery has to be scheduled, not hoped for. Scheduled. You do not accidentally become disciplined. You do not accidentally become healthy. You do not accidentally become resilient. You build it. You put it on the calendar. You protect it. If you can schedule overtime, you can schedule sleep. If you can schedule court, you can schedule the gym. If you can show up for the job exhausted, you can show up for yourself with discipline. Your body is not asking for luxury. Your body is asking for leadership. You are not weak because you need recovery. You are weak if you know what is destroying you and you keep choosing it because it is comfortable. Control the inputs: sleep, hydration, nutrition, training, breathwork, sunlight, connection, purpose, recovery. Those are not motivational words. Those are biological commands. You do not get to choose whether recovery happens. You only get to choose how it happens. Either you schedule it with discipline, or your body schedules it through breakdown. Either you take command early, or biology takes command later. Are you going to keep running until you break? Or are you going to start maintaining the person everyone depends on? Because recovery is not optional. It is command maintenance. A recovery session resets the system. This is not pampering. This is not luxury. This is not some soft wellness trend. This is tactical recovery. Because the body has two basic modes. There is fight mode. That is the mode most officers, veterans, first responders, and high performers know very well. Fight mode gets you through the call, gets you through the shift, gets you through the moment where everyone else panics and you have to perform. But fight mode was never meant to be your home. You are supposed to go into it, use it, and come back down. That come back down part is what most people are missing. Calm the body, clear the mind, restore readiness. That is not a slogan, that is the process. Because when your body is dysregulated, your mind is not going to think clearly. You can talk mindset all day. You can talk discipline all day. But if your nervous system is fried, your sleep is destroyed, your breathing is shallow, your muscles are locked up. You are not operating at full capacity. You are operating in survival debt. And survival debt always collects interest. The first thing recovery does is down-regulate stress. Too many people are living with their foot on the gas and acting like that is strength. It is not strength. It is poor system management. A strong officer is not the officer who pretends nothing affects them. Strength is control. Control means you know how to activate when it is time to perform and deactivate when it is time to recover. If you can go from 0 to 100 but cannot come back down, you do not have control. You have a stuck alarm system. Then we release tension, because stress does not just live in your thoughts. Stress lives in the body, in the jaw, the neck, the shoulders, the back, the stomach, the chest, the breath. Some of you are walking around armored when nobody is attacking you. Your body is braced for a fight that is not happening. You are sitting on your couch like you are still on post. You are lying in bed like you are waiting for the radio to go off. When the body releases tension, the brain receives a new signal. We are safe enough to recover. And your brain cannot heal while it believes it is still under threat. Then, clarity improves. When the body calms down, the mind gets sharper. Stress clouds thinking. You start reacting instead of responding, seeing neutral things as threats, snapping over small things, living in a fog. A recovery session helps quiet the alarm so the decision-making part of the brain can come back online. Then energy is restored. Real energy comes from recovery. A body that never recovers eventually starts borrowing energy from tomorrow. That is when you wake up tired, need coffee before you can speak to people, drag through the day, crash at night, sleep badly, repeat. This is tactical recovery, not indulgence. Indulgence is avoidance. Tactical recovery is preparation. Indulgence helps you escape your life for a moment. Tactical recovery helps you return to your life stronger. Your family needs you regulated. Your coworkers need you sharp. Your community needs you steady. Your children need more than the exhausted leftovers of you. We reset the system. We calm the body. We clear the mind. We restore readiness. Because the mission is not just to survive the job. The mission is to come home still human. The More Wellness Core Reset Protocol. That word matters. Protocol. Not random self-care. Not, maybe I'll relax when I have time. Not, I'll get better after life slows down. Not scrolling your phone in bed calling it decompression. Not drinking because you had a hard shift and calling it recovery. A protocol means there is a system, a sequence, a structure, a purpose, a reason why each step is there. Because when a person is overloaded, burned out, traumatized, dysregulated, or living in survival mode, they do not need random advice. They need a pathway. Ground, breathe, stress, recover, reset. That is the system. First, ground. Before we do anything else, we bring the body out of survival mode. Because most people walk in carrying the day with them, carrying the call, carrying the argument, carrying the overtime, carrying the old trauma, carrying the job in their shoulders, jaw, chest, stomach, and nervous system. Grounding tells the body, you are here now, not back on the call, not back in combat, not back in the worst moment. Here, now. Feet down, breath slowed, body still, mind present. Control your body, control your mind. Second, breathe. Breathing is not motivational fluff. Breathing is a biological remote control. Most people under stress breathe like they are being hunted. Fast, shallow, high in the chest, no rhythm, no control. And then they wonder why they feel anxious, angry, tense, or foggy. Fast breathing tells the brain, danger. Controlled breathing tells the brain, we can handle this. A person who cannot control their breath under stress is going to struggle to control their reactions under stress. That is true on the street. That is true in a relationship. That is true in leadership. Breathing is command over physiology. Third, stress. We are not trying to remove all stress. The goal is to apply controlled stress so the body gets stronger. Cold exposure, resistance, discomfort, intentional challenge. Uncontrolled stress breaks people down. Controlled stress builds capacity. The cold plunge teaches the body, I can be uncomfortable and stay in control. That is the lesson. Because when the argument comes, you do not explode as fast. When the pressure comes, you do not fold as fast. That is resilience training, not theory, reps. Fourth, recover. Stress without recovery is destruction. Training without recovery becomes injury. Work without recovery becomes burnout. Serving without recovery becomes resentment. Recovery is where the upgrade happens. Your muscles do not grow during the lift. They grow during recovery. Your nervous system does not become more regulated because you keep abusing it. It becomes regulated because you give it structured exposure and structured recovery. Fifth, reset. This is where we realign and return stronger, not just relaxed, ready. Ready to go home and be present. Ready to go back to work with a clearer head. Ready to have the conversation you have been avoiding. Not random self-care, a protocol. Because when you are under pressure, you fall back on systems. No system, no consistency. No consistency, no transformation. Most people do not have a recovery problem. They have a structure problem. They know they should sleep better. They know they should eat better. They know they should train. They know they should stop drinking so much. But knowing is not enough. Knowledge without execution is just entertainment. The protocol turns knowledge into action. It gives the body a sequence. It gives the mind a mission. It gives the person a way back to themselves. And disciplined people follow protocols, because under pressure, systems save lives. Find your purpose. Not your job title, not your paycheck, not your rank, not your badge, not your reputation, not what people think you are. Your purpose. Because there is a dangerous moment that happens in high-stress professions. At first, the job gives you identity. You put the uniform on and it means something. You feel useful. You feel needed. You feel like you are standing between order and chaos. But if you are not careful, the job becomes the only place you know who you are. Then one day the job changes. The assignment changes. The department changes. The people change. The politics change. The body gets tired. The mind gets heavy. The passion starts getting replaced with resentment. And now you have a problem. Because if your entire identity is built on the job, when the job starts breaking you down, you do not know where else to stand. That is why purpose matters. Purpose is bigger than the call. Purpose is bigger than the badge. Purpose is bigger than the shift. Purpose is the reason you keep showing up when everything in you wants to quit. Purpose is not always some big, dramatic thing. Sometimes purpose is your family. Sometimes purpose is your faith. Sometimes purpose is becoming the man or woman your younger self needed. Sometimes purpose is proving that the pain did not win. Sometimes purpose is leaving a legacy your children can be proud of. But you need something deeper than mood. Because mood changes, motivation disappears, energy comes and goes. People disappoint you, systems fail you, the job takes from you, life hits you. And when all of that happens, purpose is what keeps your feet under you. Know your why. It keeps you grounded. Live your values. They guide your decisions. Because everybody says they have values, but your real values are not what you post. Your real values are what you practice. You say family matters, but do they get the best of you or the leftovers? You say health matters, but does your body show that? You say integrity matters, but do you do the right thing when nobody is clapping? Your life is always showing your real values, not your words, your patterns. Serve something bigger than you. It gives meaning to the mission. When life becomes only about you, you become fragile. But when you serve something bigger than yourself, pressure starts to have meaning. You are not just suffering, you are building. Without purpose, pain becomes poison. With purpose, pain can become fuel. Grow through the process. Discipline builds direction, not comfort. Discipline. Because comfort will lie to you. Comfort will tell you to skip the gym. Comfort will tell you that tomorrow is fine. But discipline tells the truth. Discipline says, do what serves your future, not just what soothes your moment. Leave a legacy. Make your impact count. One day the career ends. One day the uniform comes off. One day somebody else has your locker. And then the question becomes, what did you actually leave behind? Did people feel safer because you were there? Did your family feel loved by you? Did your children learn strength from you? Or did they only learn stress? Your purpose is your power. Never lose it. Because life will try to take your purpose. Burnout will try to take it. Trauma will try to take it. The job will try to make you numb. Pain will try to make you cynical. Do not let it. Do not let the worst parts of the job steal the best parts of you. Because a person with purpose can suffer and still move forward. A person with purpose can get knocked down and still stand back up. That is purpose. That is power. Never lose it. A lion does not stress over the opinion of sheep. Now, I want to be careful with this one, because this is not about arrogance. This is not about thinking you are better than people. This is not about disrespect. This is about discipline. This is about focus. This is about understanding that not every voice deserves access to your nervous system. Because in this line of work, there is always noise. People are going to criticize you. People are going to misunderstand you. People are going to judge decisions they never had to make. People are going to talk from comfort about situations you had to handle under pressure. People are going to have opinions from the cheap seats. That is life. But the question is, do you let that noise become direction? Do not let noise become direction. Because weak-minded people let every opinion move them. Somebody criticizes them, they spiral. Somebody doubts them, they quit. Somebody misunderstands them, they lose sleep. Somebody talks about them, they lose focus. That is not strength. That is emotional outsourcing. That means you handed your peace to people who did not earn the right to hold it. A lion is calm because it knows what it is. It does not need validation from the herd. It does not need applause. It does not need permission. It does not need everyone to understand the mission. It moves with identity. When you know who you are, you stop being controlled by people who do not know what it took to become you. When you know your purpose, criticism becomes information, not injury. When you know your values, opinions become background noise, not command orders. That is maturity. That is command presence. That is emotional discipline. Now, does that mean we ignore feedback? No. A disciplined person listens to correction from the right people. Mentors, coaches, trusted peers. People who want you better, not smaller. That feedback matters. But there is a difference between feedback and noise. Feedback is designed to sharpen you. Noise is designed to distract you. When you are in the arena, people outside the arena always have opinions. They know exactly what you should have done. They had comfort, distance, and hindsight. So you cannot let every outside voice hijack your nervous system. The most dangerous person is not the loudest person. The most dangerous person is the one who cannot be emotionally manipulated off mission. They can insult you, and you stay steady. They can doubt you, and you stay working. They can talk, and you keep building. That is power. Not reaction. Control. My mission is not controlled by your noise. You cannot build a strong life if every comment knocks you off course. You cannot lead if you need everyone to like you. At some point, you have to decide, am I living by purpose or by public opinion? Because the sheep will always make noise. That is what they do. But the lion moves. The lion trains. The lion protects. The lion does not panic because the herd is loud, calm, focused, unmoved. Not because you do not care, because you care about the right things. Noise is expensive. Drama is expensive. Ego is expensive. Every time you give your energy to the wrong thing, you steal it from the right thing. So protect your focus, protect your peace, protect your purpose, protect your nervous system. Know who you are, know what you serve, move like your purpose matters, and never let sheep teach a lion how to walk. Morning routine. Forge the system. That word matters. Forge. You do not wake up and hope the day goes well. You forge the system before the day starts trying to break it. Because once the shift starts, once the phone starts ringing, once the calls start coming, once the emails start stacking, once the family needs you, once the job pulls at you, once the stress hits, it is already too late to build discipline. You build it before the fight. Because if you do not command your morning, the day will command you. Most people wake up already losing. They grab the phone, they check messages, they check drama, they check social media, they check bad news. They let everyone else's noise enter their nervous system before they even take control of their own body. That is backwards. You do not give the world access to your mind before you have taken command of it. First step, breathe. Regulate before the stress hits. That is not soft, that is tactical. Before you go into the day, send your nervous system a signal. I am in control. Slow the breath. Control the rhythm. Bring oxygen into the system. Tell the brain, we are not waking up in panic. We are waking up with command. Because the way you breathe affects the way you think. Fast breathing, chaotic thinking. Controlled breathing, controlled thinking. You want a better mind? Start with the body. Second step, move. Wake up the body. Build momentum. Motion changes state. You cannot think your way into discipline while lying in bed negotiating with weakness. Get up, move, walk, stretch, push-ups, squats, anything that tells the body, we are awake, we are active, we are not starting this day as a victim. Third step, hydrate. Fuel the brain and nervous system. You wake up dehydrated, under-recovered, stressed, and then wonder why your brain feels foggy. Your brain runs on chemistry. Stop treating hydration like it is optional. Not just caffeine, water, minerals, real inputs, because bad inputs produce bad outputs. Fourth step, set intent. Choose the standard before the shift. Before the world tells you who to be, you decide who you are going to be. Am I going to be reactive today or disciplined? Am I going to bring my family the leftovers or come home with something still left in the tank? Most people do not have bad lives because of one bad decision. They have bad lives because they never set a standard. They drift, they react, they let mood become command. And mood is a terrible leader. Fifth step, log it. Track readiness, because what gets measured gets managed. If you do not track patterns, you will repeat them without understanding them. A morning routine is not just a routine, it is a vote. Every morning you are voting for the person you are becoming. You breathe, that is a vote for control. You move, that is a vote for strength. You hydrate, that is a vote for health. You set intent, that is a vote for purpose. You log it, that is a vote for accountability. And over time, those votes become identity. This is not about a morning checklist. This is about taking command before chaos arrives. This is about building the nervous system before the job tests it. breathe, move, hydrate, set intent, log it. That is the morning forge. That is discipline before the day demands it. Diet is not aesthetics. It is fuel discipline. Too many people hear the word diet and immediately think about looking good in the mirror. That is not what we are talking about here. This is not about vanity. This is not about six-pack abs. This is not about looking good for Instagram. This is about performance, mood stability, energy stability, hormone support, recovery, mental clarity, stress tolerance, command presence. Because the body is not separate from the mind. What you eat becomes your chemistry, and your chemistry affects how you think, how you feel, how you sleep, how you recover, how you control anger, how you handle stress, and how you show up for the people who need you. Control the input, control the output. That is not motivational, that is biological. If you keep putting garbage into the system, eventually the system gives you garbage back. Low energy, brain fog, irritability, poor sleep, weight gain, low motivation, bad mood. Then people walk around saying, "I don't know why I feel like this." Yes, you do. You are underslept, overstressed, dehydrated, underfueled, overcaffeinated, and eating like your body is a trash can. That is not a mystery. That is math. Protein first. Every meal should start with protein. Not because it is trendy, because protein supports muscle, recovery, satiety, metabolism, and stable energy. You cannot run your day on fumes and sugar. You want to stop crashing? Start eating like you actually respect the mission. Carbs with purpose. Carbs are not the enemy. Random carbs are the enemy. Carbs should have a job. Around training, around long shifts, around high output days. If you live on processed junk, sugar spikes, gas station food, and late-night garbage, do not be surprised when your energy looks like a roller coaster and your mood follows it. Fats for hormones. Healthy fats support mood, endocrine function, cellular health, and the brain. Your brain is not running on toughness alone. Your hormones are not running on motivation. Your nervous system is not running on pride. The body needs real inputs. Hydrate early. Most people start the day depleted. They wake up dehydrated, grab coffee, skip water, skip minerals, and wonder why they are anxious, foggy, tense, and dragging. Caffeine is not hydration. Energy drinks are not recovery. Stimulants are not discipline. Hydrate before caffeine. Avoid the crash. Avoid sugar spikes. Avoid energy drink dependence. Avoid the pattern where you eat like trash, crash, drink caffeine, get wired, crash again, eat garbage at night, sleep badly, wake up tired, and repeat the cycle. That is not a lifestyle. That is a slow breakdown with a uniform on. Just because the whole shift eats like garbage does not mean you have to. Just because everybody is tired does not mean that is the standard. You are allowed to raise the standard. Diet is not aesthetics. It is fuel discipline. It is choosing food based on the person you are trying to become, not the mood you are trying to escape. You cannot build a strong mind on a weak foundation. You cannot build stable mood on unstable blood sugar. You cannot become harder to break with average inputs. The body will always tell the truth. So control the input, control the output. Because food is not just food. Food is instruction. Food is fuel. Food is discipline. And for the person carrying stress, responsibility, trauma, and pressure, fuel discipline is not optional. It is part of the mission. Exercise is controlled stress. Too many people still think exercise is only about weight loss, muscle, or looking better. That is surface-level thinking. Exercise is not just about appearance. Exercise is nervous system training. Exercise is emotional regulation. Exercise is discipline under discomfort. Exercise is teaching the body and mind I can be under pressure and still stay in control. Train the body to protect the mind, because the mind does not exist separate from the body. When the body is weak, tired, inflamed, undertrained, and constantly stressed, the mind feels it. Your mood feels it. Your confidence feels it. Your focus feels it. Your patience feels it. Your resilience feels it. And in this line of work, law enforcement, corrections, military, first responders, counseling, leadership, you need a body that can carry pressure, not just emotionally, physically, because stress is physical, anger is physical, anxiety is physical, trauma is physical, burnout is physical. You feel it in the chest, in the jaw, in the shoulders, in the stomach, in your sleep, in your blood pressure. So if stress lives in the body, recovery has to involve the body. First, exercise burns off stress. When you train, you give stress somewhere to go. A lot of people are walking around with stored adrenaline, stored anger, stored tension, stored frustration, and stored pain. They do not move it. They just carry it. Then they wonder why they snap at home, why they cannot sleep, why they feel trapped inside their own body. Because the stress never got discharged. Exercise gives the body a controlled outlet. Second, exercise sharpens focus. Movement clears fog. When you train, blood flow improves, oxygen improves, brain chemistry shifts, the body wakes up. You can walk into a workout stressed, distracted, angry, and leave clearer, because the body changed the state of the mind. Third, exercise builds resilience. This is the heart of it. Exercise teaches voluntary discomfort. That matters because life is going to bring involuntary discomfort. When you push through the last set, when your lungs are burning, when your muscles are tired, when your mind wants to quit, you are not just building muscle, you are building evidence. Evidence that you can keep going. Evidence that discomfort does not control you. Evidence that discipline can override weakness. That is resilience. Not a quote, not a post, not a speech. Reps. Fourth, exercise boosts energy. This is where people get it backwards. They say, I am too tired to work out. But often they are tired because they do not move. The body adapts to demand. If you demand nothing from the body gives you less. Fifth, exercise strengthens discipline. Every workout is a vote for strength, a vote for health, a vote for self-respect, a vote against the weaker version of you that wants comfort more than growth. Discipline is when the stronger version of you takes command anyway. You do not need to feel motivated, you need to move. Motivation is emotional, discipline is structural, and structure wins. Move with purpose, recover with intent. Train the body you need for the life you are living. If people depend on you, train like people depend on you. Because they do. Train, recover, operate. That is the cycle. Train the system, recover the system, operate with the upgraded system, and then repeat. Exercise is not punishment. Exercise is not optional. Exercise is controlled stress. Movement is maintenance. Movement is medicine. Movement is command. Move with purpose. Recover with intent. And train the body to protect the mind. It is not only about keeping each other alive, it is also about helping each other live. That is the whole mission. Because in law enforcement, corrections, military, first responder work, and counseling, we get very good at crisis. We know how to respond when someone is bleeding. We know how to respond when someone is overdosing. We know how to respond when someone is suicidal. We are trained to keep people alive, and that matters. But keeping someone alive is not the same as helping them live. There is a difference between surviving and living. Surviving is showing up to the shift exhausted and saying, "I'm fine." Living is coming home with enough peace left to be present with your family. Surviving is drinking, scrolling, isolating, eating garbage, and calling it decompression. Living is having a recovery system that gives you your body and mind back. Surviving is getting through the day. Living is building a life you do not need to constantly escape from. The officer on the bench does not need another motivational speech. He does not need someone saying, "Stay strong, brother," and then walking away. He needs connection. He needs someone who can sit next to him and say, "I see it. I know you are carrying something. You do not have to carry it alone." Real brotherhood is noticing when someone is different, when they stop laughing, when they start isolating, when they are angry all the time, when they are drinking more, when they say, "I'm good," but their face says something different. That is when you step in, not with judgment, with presence. Because sometimes saving a life does not look dramatic. Sometimes saving a life is a conversation in the locker room. Sometimes it is a text message. Sometimes it is sitting next to someone and not letting them disappear. Recovery, connection, purpose, brotherhood. That is the formula. Recovery gives the body a way back. Connection reminds the person they are not alone. Purpose gives the pain direction. Brotherhood keeps people from suffering in silence. Because the goal is not just to finish the career, the goal is to still have a life when the career is done. What good is retirement if you are bitter, broken, divorced, unhealthy, disconnected, and numb? So as I close this out, I want you to remember where we started. Who helps the person who helps everyone else? Because every person in this room either is that person, works with that person, loves that person, or depends on that person. The person who shows up, the person who answers the call, the person who carries the weight, the person who keeps functioning when nobody sees what it costs. But functioning is not the goal. Living is the goal. You were not built just to survive shifts. You were not built just to absorb trauma. You were not built just to be useful to everyone else while disappearing from your own life. You were built to lead, to protect, to serve, to love, to build, to grow, to come home, to be present, to leave a legacy. Stop waiting until you break to take recovery seriously. Stop treating your body like it is disposable. Stop calling survival strength. Stop saying, "I'm good," when you know you are not. Start building systems. Start using discipline. Start protecting your nervous system. Start showing up for your family with more than leftovers. Start becoming the version of yourself that your purpose requires. Because the people you serve need you. Your family needs you. Your brothers and sisters need you. But more than that, you need you. Not the exhausted version, not the numb version, not the angry version, not the version running on caffeine, pride, and pain. The real version, the disciplined version, the recovered version, the version that can walk into chaos without becoming chaos. That is the mission of More Wellness Core. Not comfort, not indulgence, not random self-care. A system, a standard, a protocol, a way back. Because we do not just keep each other going, we help each other keep living.